Alright, I just wanted to get into three events that I don't think are Mandela effects. I think the Mandela effect is real for a lot of things, but three of them, the JFK assassination, the Lindbergh baby, and Nelson Mandela himself, are three things that I remember throughout my life. I've looked into the JFK assassination a lot back in the day, especially Lindbergh as well. And Mandela, I remember hearing about him through my life, through music and everything like this. The first thing I want to bring up is the song Free Nelson Mandela, 1984.
Nelson Mandela, free, 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 Nelson Mandela.
So there was that song that I remember going on. And the other thing that I remember was that when he was freed, I believe it was 1990, he was meeting with Bill Clinton. And it was just like cringe-worthy. All, Clinton is just such a schmoozy car salesman, He's got this guy who's been in jail for, 27 years. He's like saying all this crap,
now all over the world,
etc., etc. So I remember this, and his divorce from Winnie Mandela. She started a different life, even though she was very active in the ANC, African National Congress, which was a communist organization. Although they tried to, make it look like it wasn't. The thing that I always heard was that Nelson Mandela had died in prison and had been replaced by an imposter. I mean, it was something not talked about a lot, but if you were looking around for it, you heard this, different heights, all that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I heard. But my reality is that, like, he was in prison. You always heard about him being in prison. It was a big thing when he got released. And Bill Clinton talking about him, I was just like, oh, Bill Clinton, just shut up. And then the song. So that's one thing. I mean, I just remember all these events intertwining. I remember hearing a Nelson Mandela song. It came out in 1984, but I really remember like listening to it. I think just before he was released. That's what I remember. It was a big part of that, what was going on. Nelson Mandela, like one of these, not just a small event, Nelson Mandela, and he became the president of South Africa. I mean, shortly thereafter. The next thing I want to talk about is the Lindbergh baby kidnapping and apparent murder. And it was in New Jersey, and in this sort of very modern but isolated house where Charles Lindbergh lived. The thing that happened, as I remember it, was that and I've looked into this somewhat, before Mandela Effect and everything. So the baby was kidnapped, so they say, and then there was this extensive search, false trails, some guy saying he knew her, all this kind of, lots of shenanigans going on. They're looking for the baby, searching in the water, going, meeting people in parks in the dark and alone, and it was a whole drama. It was a soap opera for the 1930s. Eventually, a few miles away from the house, a couple of workers stop their truck to take a leak. One of the guys, he goes in the woods, and he sees the baby, partially decomposed. And they can only identify it, I believe, through, like some sort of shirt or something that was knitted, personal, and I don't know what this is. So it's kind of disgusting, and this guy was accused, Bruno Hauptmann, German immigrant. They found a bunch of money in his house. It was a payoff of some sort. But the thing is about the body is that so unidentifiable that people would always, claim that they were the Lindbergh baby, that was just like something it couldn't be proven. So people were always saying, I'm the Lindbergh baby. Because, A, it went on for so long. The baby could have been anywhere. That's implanted in people's minds. Anything could have been going on. And then eventually, after a long period, the baby was discovered. But then this whole thing continued on because people didn't necessarily believe that this was the baby, the one that was the corpse that was found in the woods. People didn't believe that. So this continued on, people saying that they were the Lindbergh baby. There's many theories about what actually went on. A, that the baby never did die. It was all just a hoax, put on. It was sort of like it went from 1932 to 1936 when the Hauptmann was put to death, I believe. And it was a whole Depression era distraction from the reality of people's daily lives. Time was moving a little slower then, so the papers are coming out daily, so it was a bit of action during this time period leading up to the war in 1939, 1941. Look, it wasn't something I just heard about, it was something I got into, and for various reasons. The next thing I want to talk about is the JFK assassination. How many people were in the limo? I was totally into the JFK assassination. The film, by Oliver Stone, and the book by Jim Mars, and all of that, and the various theories, of which people were responsible. In the reenactments, there are, I want to say, it's always the two like this, or the two-seater, four-seater, I should say. And this is another reenactment, and this is a reenactment. That's the image that you see. Is there's only two sets of seats, enough for 4 people. Here they are coming away from Love Field, I believe. This is Governor Connolly, the governor of Texas, and his wife, and that's who's greeting them at the airport. But we have the magic bullet theory, which is like the bullet takes this torturous route, according to the report afterwards, commission that looked into it, the cover-up of whatever it was. Some people don't even think the Kennedy assassination was real. It was just a hoax. And so, but like, whatever. The fact that a bullet could come from here, go this way, go back this way, and cause so much more, and then it was a big thing. It was called the magic bullet theory. And it's something, when you get into JFK, it's hitting Kennedy, then Connolly. This is a major part of the Kennedy assassination, not just who did it, the killing of Oswald, Ruby. It's not this. There's just something. What the actual event, where the bullets hit, what direction they were coming from. In other words, the bullets are coming from this direction. Hard to do 3-dimensionally here, but they're saying it all comes from this direction, so it has to do this. But there's even a Seinfeld episode about a magic spitball at a baseball game or whatever.
Something happened that changed us in a very deep and profound way from that day forward.
It wasn't.
He spit on us. And I screamed out, I'm it!
Then I turned and the spit ricocheted off him and it hit me.
So there's that, just as like a cultural reference. And I think with the Mandela Effect, some things are like, it's almost clearer with like a single icon or product emblem, whatever you want, a symbol, because the fact that they say it hasn't changed, and then you remember there is a change. So I think that's, whereas these events, sometimes we just hear about them, we don't pay close attention to them. Now, I'm not saying that other people don't have a memory that is not real of, what the media says is real and is showing us like this, where it was just 4 people, the Secret Service man and, JFK and Jackie. So I'm not saying that people don't remember falsely Nelson Mandela dying in prison. you know, I'm just trying to point out that I didn't just hear about Nelson Mandela or something like that. I remember vivid events through my life that were the media was saying this happens, this is happening, he's doing this, they're getting divorced, or and I've looked into the JFK assassination, the magic bullet, and that was a major part of it. And if there are people who have a completely different vision of books that were written about JFK and they never mentioned the magic bullet and as part of it and just never saw that, or and Lindbergh, it's less familiar to people these days because it was an event in the past, but it was a big event, took a big chunk of the 30s. Everybody knew about it, and people afterwards. It was like just like it was like the O.J. Simpson trial, really. So I just wanted to put these things out there. The Mandela Effect is real, but I think that for me, I'm trying to point out things that I've experienced in my life, and they connect with my life. So if we're leading two different timelines, okay, maybe it's that, but you got to fill in the details too. If you have this other timeline, not just I remember once way back when I heard. So okay.